Yo, what's going on, guys? KrispyFlakes here. So the NBA playoffs are going to be here a lot quicker than we really expect. And with those playoff teams, for them to be successful, there is going to be certain guys that need to be playing like their best basketball for that team to really be successful. I mean, for the most part, there's guys that you can pretty much always guarantee on. But for today's video, we are going to go through the biggest X factor for every likely NBA playoff team. So here we go. This is an article on Bleacher Report by Zach Buckley. Let's go ahead and get started on this. I'm going to give you guys my opinions on each one of these players and like a reasoning why they would be so important for that specific squad. So the first one we have is Gordon Hayward, and this one definitely goes without saying. I mean, this man was offered, what was it, like $30 million per season back when he signed that contract after leaving the Utah Jazz, and there's been like sparks of hope. I mean, I know he had his horrible injury and everything like that, and it really is taking a while for him to completely bounce back, but I do think that for the Boston Celtics to not only get out of the Eastern Conference, because there's a lot of tough talent out there, guys, with the Bucks and the Raptors and, you know, the Philadelphia 76ers, Gordon Hayward needs to at least be playing a consistent role. I mean, I think he needs to be like a 17-point per game scorer. He's got to be playing defense, doing a little bit of everything out there. Just because as great as like Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown are, it's going to come down to the veterans really carrying this team to the next level. So Gordon Hayward, hopefully he's up for the challenge. Because if he's playing, you know, some really good basketball, that Celtics team is going to be damn unbeatable. All right, next up we have Caris LeVert of the Brooklyn Nets. So Caris LeVert, also another player that was victim of a bad injury this season. He is back now, but with that being said, you know, when you miss that much time to just be able to come back right away and play like an all-star level, because he was playing like an all-star, guys. I really do think that he would have been in running for the all-star game if he was never injured, or at least borderline an all-star. But still, it's like, the Brooklyn Nets, you know what you're going to get out of D'Lo. D'Lo was an all-star this season. You expect him to be great out there. And besides for that, man, like the rest of the team, like, yeah, Joe Harris is going to knock down some shots. You know, Jared Allen is a serviceable center out there. But Caris LeVert needs to be that second option to D'Angelo Russell for this team really to take off. I mean, I don't think Alex Spencer Dinwiddie too, but Caris is a starter. Or at least he should be a starter if he's not starting every single game. I think he definitely will get there. I'm not really expecting the Brooklyn Nets to be like all that dangerous in the playoffs. I do expect them to make it, but probably, you know, a first round exit. For them to make a series interesting and take it to a game 6 or game 7, you do need Caris LeVert though playing like he was at the beginning of this season. Next up, we have Jamal Murray of the Denver Nuggets. So the Nuggets have been one of the better teams in the Western Conference this season. Jokic, I think, is exactly what you want when it comes to an NBA center. I mean, he can score, he can post up, he can knock down the 3-ball. His defense has been better, his rebounds great, his playmaking's great. But for a team to come out of the Western Conference, it can't just be one guy, which is a big reason why I think like Chris Paul and Clint Capella need to be playing great basketball for the Rockets. Same song and dance for the Denver Nuggets. Like, it cannot just be Jokic. I do think Jamal Murray has to be a like 20-point, 7-assist guy out there for this team really to take it to the next level in the postseason. Because it's very often that, you know, a team can do really well in the regular season, and then playoff time, it's just a whole different ball game out there, and maybe a team's experience makes it that they're not really ready for that stage. And I feel like the Denver Nuggets, that, you know, getting to the playoffs will be great, because I believe they did not make it last year. I believe it went down to a final game against the Timberwolves, and I think they lost that game. So, you know, this season, getting to the playoffs will, of course, be huge, but let's see if they are prepared for what playoff basketball is, you know, when it comes like Jokic and Murray and all those guys. Next, I don't think the Pistons are making the playoffs, but if we do, yes, Reggie Jackson. You need to play like a leader. And I'm not just talking about a guy that goes out there and feels like playing when he wants to. No, man, this team does not really have a lot of room for error. Like, Drummond and Blake Griffin, both those guys put up all-star caliber numbers. Drummond's having his best season probably of his NBA career. Drummond, while he did not make the all-star team, is still, you know, a guy that can grab you 20 points and 20 rebounds on any given night. But this team lacks perimeter play. I mean, Reggie, you need to stand up. You cannot win a playoff series unless you have a good leader at the point guard spot for the most part. I mean, I know there is exceptions out there, but when Reggie actually does play like within himself and like contains himself, and doesn't try to get too crazy out there, he actually can have some solid games. Like, I've seen it, man. It's definitely not a myth. Reggie Jackson has potential to be an okay point guard. It's just sometimes I don't think he takes the game the most serious. So maybe Dwayne Casey can get him out there and play him like a leader. And, you know, you got to wear that number 1 with pride. It was Chauncey Billups' number. Wear the pride. Be Mr. Big Shots. Next up, we have DeMarcus Cousins of the Golden State Warriors. I don't know if I really call him an X factor because I feel like, you know, the Warriors in years past have been fine with guys like Andrew Bogut or JaVale McGee or Jordan Bell at the center spot. I mean, yes, if DeMarcus is not playing like his best ball, then I will say the Warriors, based off a tough Western Conference, they could be beaten. But if DeMarcus is playing like an all-star, it's a wash. Like, nobody is beating the Warriors, plain and simple, man. I don't care what team it is. I don't care who you put up against that starting five. So, yeah, I guess an X factor in the point of being the difference between a team that could still win it versus a team that would definitely win it with DeMarcus Cousins playing like an all-star. Next up, we have the Houston Rockets, Chris Paul. So I actually touched base on this one a little bit already. Yeah, it says right there, man, Kobe Bryant is right. The Rockets aren't winning big on the strength of James Harden's hero ball. So yeah, I mean, James Harden can go out there and put up historical numbers. That's fine. It's not going to win you playoff series. Like Chris Paul, this guy was paid a max contract to play like a max contract point guard. I know he's getting older. I know he's injury prone. But the fact of the matter is that the best ball for the Rockets is when James Harden and Chris Paul are kind of playing that your turn, my turn type of basketball where they both take turns bringing the ball up the court and getting some of the other guys involved. I mean, you can even go as far as saying guys like Eric Gordon would be an X factor because just Harden needs help. And I think Chris Paul, though, I think he will be ready to go. I am praying to the NBA gods that this man does not get injured again because I just want to see a postseason where everybody is healthy. Is that really so much to ask? It probably is these days. Next up, we have Bogdanovic of the Indiana Pacers. So I think a lot of people are pretty surprised that the Pacers, despite losing all-star shooting guard Victor Oladipo, they are still in the running for the playoffs. They are still playing amazing basketball. I know when Oladipo first went down, I did say myself that I did expect the Pacers to still be pretty good, as long as they can find like a serviceable option at the shooting guard spot in the form of like a Tyreke Evans. Although I don't think Tyreke has exactly been playing like he was last season for the Memphis Grizzlies. So, you know, Miles Turner, I feel like he's taking it to another level. Sabonis is still good. Darren Collison is a basic point guard, but still okay. But it's going to come down to Bogdanovic, you know, being a go-to scoring option for this team. I mean, Sabonis and Miles Turner, as great as they can be, you really do need those big-time perimeter players, those small forwards that can just go out there and knock down shots. Because when this guy, you know, is on point in his offense, I mean, I'm pretty sure the Pacers have beaten some pretty good teams this season, despite losing Victor Oladipo. So, yeah, he's going to be a big part of it. We got LeBron James of the Los Angeles Lakers. So, yeah, we have a superstar on this list. I mean, I guess Chris Paul, you can say, was a superstar. Probably some other names on here, too. But, yes, LeBron James. I'm sorry, but for the Lakers to even make the playoffs, LeBron James is not going to be able to play like a guy that's getting older. He needs to play like 26, 27-year-old LeBron James. He needs to go in complete playoff mode and not rely on the young guys. Yes, use the young guys, but you need to be the man out there. You need to be averaging 30 points a game, 10 rebounds, 10 assists. You got to be going Russell Westbrook triple-double out there. And you got, you know, like I said, do not rely on Ingram and Lonzo Ball and Kuzma to get this team to the playoffs. Rely on yourself. Just use those guys to enhance what you can do out there. Get those guys in the right position. Get those guys' confidence going. And I promise the Lakers will have success this season for the rest of the season. Next up, we have Nikola Mirotic for the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, when he first went to this team, I thought it was a perfect fit. Like, you know, I love Chris Middleton. I love what Giannis does. Brook Lopez is great. But Mirotic, I've seen this guy catch fire. Like, and the fact that the entire, like, this is the lineup I'm most excited for, okay? I want to see a lineup of Brogdon, Middleton, Giannis, Mirotic, and Brook Lopez. Because all those guys, besides for Giannis, of course, can stretch the floor. And Giannis has already been able to get to the basket at will and just score on the inside. I believe he's leading the NBA still in points in the paint per game. So you add Mirotic to that lineup, and it's just game over. Like, yes, Eric Bledsoe's great. He's not the most amazing three-point shooter. But this gives you a starting five, or at least a lineup you can run, where you have all these amazing shooters around Giannis, and if Mirotic has knocked down his shots, I know, like, I say, like, Philly at times, or even the Celtics, or even the Raptors, I should say, too, man. But the Bucks, it's going to be a tough team to beat. That's not a team you want to see in the playoffs. Next, we have Dennis Schroder of the OKC Thunder. Yeah, I guess I could even chalk this up to literally any spot at the shooting guard position, because I feel like, you know, sometimes they do play Dennis and Russell in the backcourt together. Paul George is having an MVP season. Russell Westbrook is going to average a triple-double. You know, and then it's like Steven Adams is one of the most underrated centers of the NBA. Jeremy Grant, you know, or even like a Markieff Morris, you know what you're going to get from him at the 4 spot. But you have Dennis Schroder, who was actually, he was pretty damn solid for the Atlanta Hawks. Like, if he can go out there and be a consistent player, then yeah, he needs to be able to play alongside Russell and provide some floor spacing, I guess is what I'm trying to get at. Some playmaking abilities, just because they don't really have that right now. I mean, Terrence Ferguson shows some signs out there. Alex Abrinas, I think, was cut from the team, so he's no longer a viable option. Hamidou Diallo, he's a good dunker, but they need that consistent two guy out there. I think that can be Dennis Schroder. Next, we have Terrence Ross of the Orlando Magic. Okay, so I don't really know where the Magic are right now when it comes to the playoffs. Are they like in the running for it? I guess so. I mean, I would probably say like an Aaron Gordon, but I guess Aaron Gordon and Vucevic, both those guys, at this point, they are professionals where it's like, you know what you're going to get from them. So, yeah, I guess Terrence Ross, you can say. But I don't really expect the Magic to even be in the playoffs because, like, DJ Augustine, Markelle Fultz, that's your backcourt right now for your point guard spot. So, maybe an 8 spot, but, Terrence Ross, X Factor, that team would probably get swept in the first round. Next, we have Tobias Harris of the Philadelphia 76ers. This one I actually disagree on. I think Tobias Harris in this setting with Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid can simply be a catch and shoot stretch forward. Like, that's fine. He can be that. Really what this team needs is they need Jimmy Butler to be that next guy. They need Jimmy Butler to go out there and be a guy that in the clutch you can give the ball to. He can be a savage, get you 20 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, be one of the best two-way players. I think that's what it comes down to, because sometimes it seems like Jimmy Butler is actually lost in this team. So I would like to see him more than anything. I think when it comes to this team, the scoring needs to be like this. First option, Joel Embiid, the best center in the NBA as of right now. Number 2 needs to be Jimmy Butler, followed by Tobias Harris, and then Ben Simmons, attacking the basket and getting other guys involved. Or even JJ Redick at times too, because sometimes JJ can get going. But yeah, really Tobias or Jimmy Butler, both those guys kind of finding a sense in this offense is really what's going to be the difference between this team, losing in second round or maybe potentially getting to the NBA Finals. You don't know. We have Rodney Hood of the Portland Trail Blazers. A lot of people laughed at me when I talked about Rodney Hood when he was traded to this team. I thought that it was a great move. And if he can go back and become that 17-point per game scorer he was on the Utah Jazz for a bit before getting traded to the Cavaliers, finding that confidence again, it's exactly what this team needs. Because then all of a sudden you have a lineup of Damian, CJ, Rodney Hood playing that 3 spot, Alfred Kamunu, who is an okay defensive 3-point shooting forward, and then Nurkic. Rodney Hood gives this team stability at the small forward spot. It gives them a jump shooter, a guy that can knock down shots, and play off ball, or even sometimes bring the ball up the court and allow Damian to play off balls. So I think Rodney Hood, he can still be something. And if he does, this Portland team is not going out easily. Next we have Harrison Barnes of the Sacramento Kings. I was actually really happy he went to this team, just because I felt like he was a bit of a missing piece. This team lacked the small forward position. But yeah, if this team manages to sneak into the 8 spot out there, you're looking at a team of De'Aaron Fox, Buddy Hield, who's having one of his best season of all time, Harrison Barnes, who can be like a 19 to 20 point per game scorer on any given night, and then the front court, Marvin Bagley, I think he needs to take the next step going into these playoffs, but can still be, I still think he's one of the better rookies in this draft class. Center position could use a little bit of work, because right now they have, Willie Cauley-Stein, is he still starting at center, or they got somebody else? I guess I don't really remember, but Harrison Barnes, they traded for this guy for a reason. He's got championship ring. He knows what it takes to win. Just let's see if he can bring that to the Kings. We have Kyle Lowry of the Toronto Raptors. Yeah, Kawhi Leonard playing like an MVP. He's not going to win it just because there's a lot of other guys playing a bit better than him right now. But it's always kind of come down to Kyle Lowry. Like, you can think about this Raptors team when they had DeMar DeRozan. It was DeMar was playing great basketball, was never listed as like the best player, as Kawhi isn't listed as the best player right now, but was still solid. But then really the reason the Raptors were not very good is because Kyle Lowry tends to choke in the playoffs. Kawhi is going to be Kawhi. Marc Gasol is going to be a solid guy out there. Serge Ibaka is going to do his thing. Kyle Lowry needs to be somebody that can consistently knock down the 3, get other players involved, and play defense. If he can do that, don't try to be a superstar. You don't need to be that anymore. You're a bit older. Let that pressure fall on the shoulders of Kawhi, who I think will embrace it. Just be Kyle Lowry. Don't try to be anything more than that, because it typically does not end well for you. And then finally, we got Dante Exum of the Utah Jazz. Okay, this was kind of a curveball right here. The Utah Jazz, they have Ricky Rubio and Dante Exum. They gave this guy $33 million. They didn't end up getting a big name when it came to the NBA trade deadline, I mean, yeah, Dante Exum, I don't really know how much you can expect from this guy as of right now. I would probably say more so a Derek Favors, because I still think Derek Favors is a poor choice to put alongside Rudy Gobert, but maybe he can go out there and, you know, be a solid third option for that team. He's just, I think Favors really needs to learn to stretch that floor and be a shooter alongside Gobert for that team to really play optimally out there. But I mean, you know, even with Dante Exum, I'm not expecting much from him. I think he's kind of a bust, but I guess if he can go out there and be a consistent point guard, then sure, it will definitely help the Utah Jazz. But anyway, guys, that is the end of the video. Here are some different X factors. I'll link to the article in the description below. Like I said, I don't ever really read the articles, so there's probably a lot of other reasonings out there that are listed, but I like to give my opinions pretty much. So yeah, thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to drop that like, subscribe if you're new to my channel, and peace out, my friends.